Hello traders, good weekend. Vladimir here, and this is the weekly Forex review. Actually, not just Forex, weekly market review for the week 5th of February till the 11th of February 2017. Last week was actually very interesting. We saw a lot of interesting moves during the week on some of the pairs. If it was the dollar yen, which we were looking to short at the top of the range, if it was the euro dollar, that made a small pullback and continued to the highs, and if it's the pound dollar who created the new complete high for the triple cycle just before making the drop on the last couple of days of the previous week, and so on. There were really nice moves. The Kiwi also finally bombed up the way we expected and wanted, and this week would be the main focus, of course, would go to the Pacific pairs and the currencies. This is what we expect this week. And we have retail sales in Australia that will be published tomorrow. Monday, cash rate in Australia and inflation expectations in New Zealand. Tuesday, Canada and the GDP price index in New Zealand, Canadian trade balance. And we go all the way to Wednesday, where we have the Central Bank of New Zealand rate statement and the official cash rate, and then a speech from Wheeler. Later on Thursday, we have a speech from Law in Australia, and the monetary policy to be published, trade balance in China. So as I said, this week until Friday, the whole week, the main focus would be on the Pacific pairs. So the best pairs probably to trade this week would be the Australian pairs, New Zealand pairs, and probably the Japanese pairs as well. So commodities also should be tradable on nice volume this week, and that's our focus. So let's start with the Aussie Kiwi, a pair that we have been talking about so many times from all the angles. We covered that really, I don't know, I remember how long. We are still stuck in the monthly weekly cycle. After the special cycle here, we got a range pattern which we are still dancing inside this one. Now we are on the bottom of the range. We got it here, the cycles. We got a false breaks and we got a bomb to the upside. On a 4-hour chart, we got a special cycle by itself that created for us this movement. The false break here was the confirmation to start the bullish momentum. The higher highs here gave the momentum, pull back down into triangle and continuation. The ideal behavior, those of you who are in, of course, don't do any changes. Those of you who are not, the ideal thing would be if we manage to cross above this high, pull back and look all the way to keep the longs. Target number 1 should be the top of this daily range. Target number 2 should be the top of the weekly range, which is here. So for the long run, we are only after buys as long as this bottom holds. Very important. Now I started with this pair because this was the main mover. Let's take a look on the Australian dollar and the Kiwi dollar by themselves. Aussie dollar is moving up, and this is not about to change. According to the monthly cycles, we are at least into ranging correction. That was the cycle we've had here, right? Special cycle, boom, boom, and continuation down to here. We are also kind of bouncing here from the trend line. So the expectations are at least for the range movement, which means this idea. Okay, at least something like that. But I would not be surprised at all if we do get this. And that's what I believe is actually about to happen. And it's a weekly chart, so that's going to be long journey. But as you remember my forecast from the beginning of the year, my annual forecast, and I really recommend, not because it's mine, because it's useful. Go look for the annual forecast if you still didn't, and check for these trades we've been talking about. Okay, and that's exactly what happened there. Now, currently on a daily chart, what could happen is a range by itself. Okay, so that's what we are facing in right now. And the Aussie dollar has this cycle now. It had a beautiful range on the previous week here, and I was looking for the sell opportunities as long as this stop holds. But since it was broken, we are giving up on the sell currently, letting it take us to this area. And the higher we climb, ideally to above 0.7750, the better the sell should be. Now, what is happening here is also technically interesting situation, because currently we kind of have a false break here. Okay, that's the trendline false break, building up some divergence. Daily chart slowing down with divergence as well. So yeah, the higher we can climb, if we could climb, the better the sell would be. But there is not a bad chance at all that we are building here a top. Now, by ideal situation, if we have a top, we get a false break, lower lows, pull back, and then we go down. Not by ideal, we are going to face two false breaks. Okay, that would be safest, but could be also a bit confusing. Then lower lows, correction, and sell. Now, what could happen is another scenario, which called step trading. 1, 2, 3. While one holds, we could go and break below 2, pull back, and then try and trade this place versus this stop, expecting the move down. Does not matter how we turn it around, we would be trying to go sell on this area. The best setups, of course, coming after false breaks and switch to lower lows. Step trading is also possible trade as well. Trend line is another alternative. If we break below the trend line, pull back to retest that, we can start looking for the sells. Now, watching on the statistics, we could expect force actually that happened now while I'm recording Saturday. Okay, but we are on that very point. We are looking for tops, and this is in between 4 to 8. 8 is going to be on the beginning of the week. Okay, if we cross through these days, we have a monster period 11, 12, 14 waiting us right on the top. That means it's here. Okay, so if we do hold that for a few more days, like on holding in this area, we are coming to a monster sell opportunity. If we put that here, some daily sell zones, we can find the same zones awaiting us there. Weekly, same. 4-hour chart, same. So it's going to be very, very interesting, and this is why my focus on these pairs. With the news to come from there is going to be a lot of action. New Zealand dollar by itself as well. It reached a monster zone. It's dancing the whole week, providing some short-term opportunities. Again, you can see the divergence here. Okay, we can see it everywhere, right? We are still, according to the false break we've had here and here, we're still on this range. This is a daily range. We're still there. And this is our sell zone. Now, if we put statistics for New Zealand dollar, we already had great days, right? And they are still holding certain force, provided us this sell down, the intraday sells, but not for the long term. And for the long term, same story. 11, 12, 14. How powerful they are. And that's where we have our potential reversals to go and make it. For us, it doesn't matter how we are looking only for the sell opportunities. We need false break. The last false break was here, and this is why we still, on the 4-hour chart, need to go below this area to gain the momentum, then we are going to sell the rallies. If we climb a bit higher, we are going to closer to 0.74, and the closer we go, the better it is, right? Put here, that's the zone, 1, and the next one is going to be even higher. Put it on the 4-hour chart here, same story. And we are dancing and fighting great sell areas, and we need to look for sell opportunity. Now that was the 4-hour chart. On the 1-hour chart, we got this opportunity on the intraday before here, and we got a false break, momentum will change, move down, and here. But since then, stuck into the range, which means we don't find range, we get out, and we are looking for the new opportunities. Other alternative that could be that as long as this top holds, we could get a false break here, go lower lows, 2 waves correction, and here, boom, with the breakout. The bottom line, guys, there are many ways to trade that, and I don't care how you do that. As long as you drive the highway, I don't care if you drive Toyota, Porsche, Land Cruiser, or a tank. I seriously don't care. Just go with the right direction. Actually, if you drive a tank, I don't. You can go even against the highway. Anyway, joke aside, I don't care what and how you apply that. I just care you do it right. And the right thing would be to sell. Look for the sells. The best sells appear after false breaks and momentum will change. We know that. They are the safest. Now again, we are coming in great zones. Time to watch for the opportunities. If we take a look on the Euro OZ, which is again, just want to remind you guys where it all starts from the weekly range, which theoretically means we could still try and get it lower, maybe even further lower. But here comes the but. We are dancing around a monster opportunity to turn it around and start moving up. And this up move will be for thousands of pips. So that was while last week we were trying, like 2 weeks, sorry, we're looking for longs. But the longs were too much short term. That's what we actually got. We got the moves, we got opportunities, right? We got higher highs, drop down, and double wave correction, which blocked and continued lower. And we have to accept that. That's why I say we can. Our goal is not to predict. Okay. Last week I've been asked many times by traders, so what the happening with the Euro OZ? And my answer is the market knows better. We just follow what it gives us. And if you are in this trade, make your money here. You get risk reward 1 to 2, 1 to 3, 1 to 4. Cash out partially. Why not? I mean, you got 2 waves, right? Why to give the money back to the market? If you are only after the huge risk reward, then you have to understand it takes time. It takes time. You don't have to give up. You're just waiting for next opportunity. Remember that. That's the real difference between the real traders and not. Warren Buffett has amazing saying about that. The market is a place where money transfers hands from impatient traders to those who have passions. That's all. It's all about that. So enough for the motivational speech, right? What do we have here? We had the levels. We have the area here. That's the duplication, which is relevant for us, of course, because the second leg is 2-4. But this is what we are facing. 1, 2, and this is 3, right? Ugly, but still correct, as it's moving in kind of a channel here, which is more like a wedge, but still with the same idea. Now, here comes the interesting part. The current cycle, the last leg down here, brings us to 61.8 on the same zone. Bottom line, if we could go towards 138, 137 or so, that's going to be a monster opportunity to look for the buys. And this is what I would wish to get here. Okay, that's kind of movement. Tack, false break, and start to climb it higher. Now, here comes the passions. I was the first to say look for the buys here. I was the first to say look for the buys here as long as the support holds. But currently it looks that there is a chance that it will not. And that's why I say during the day for the intraday trades you take, okay, trendline breakout or step trading 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever it is, seriously. Just make sure you don't give up your money to the market. Make some partial cash out. If it's about to happen, perfect. You'll make a lot of money. If not, fine. You didn't lose. Maybe even made a bit. And just wait for the next opportunity. That's all. As simple as it is. There are no magics here, guys. No magics. Now, in terms of dates, we are also coming to very, very, very powerful period. 6, first of all. That could be a potential bottom day. Then we have 10, 12, 13 are coming again to monster zone. It's going to be very interesting. So keep an eye here. In terms of buy zones, we have here and we have the levels I have mentioned before. Euro Kiwi, same story exactly. I'm going to make it short because it does exactly the same like the Euro Aussie does. Okay, it is triple cycle from the weekly chart. It is 2 false break, one on the bottom, one on the top here. It's a range from the monthly chart, which means what is that? Sorry guys, sorry. Okay, here we go. Right, that's what we have, and that means in very simple language, we are coming to the buy zone and we're going to fly. Now, where comes the problem? This is a weekly chart and a monthly chart cycles, which means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks to wait. That's completely normal. What's not normal is for intraday traders because they expect a move up to happen and they go nuts when it doesn't happen. But you have to remember that's a weekly and monthly cycles. That could take long time to develop. And you have to remember that when you even try to watch and play this. Now we had a great opportunity here, and that's what I was going to talk about. Triple cycle, false break, higher highs. Right? Really cool, really beautiful. Now we are in 2 waves down. As long as this low holds, we are about to try go longs. We got a correction here. This is it's still building up actually. Okay, and we are about to complete that kind of duplication here, this area. That also would be in the same zone for, actually we're now on 161 of this cycle. We're building up now on this divergence possibility to correct, and the safest way to do here would be, again, to find a false break, higher highs, right? False break, higher highs, lower lows, sorry, 2 waves correction, and start to fly here with the potential move up. The other possibility here is to, what did I do? The other thing would be take the trend line, the last trend line developing. Currently it's here. It might be go and create something like that, and trade with the breakout, right? So we got a break, retrace, and continuation. All that as long as the bottom holds. If the bottom does not hold from the weekly and the daily chart, we are going a bit further. How much further? For the next important levels, which could be found around 145 and down to 140. Sounds ridiculously low, still possibility. And we have to remember that. All right. So this is the triple cycle we refer to, and it's building up. Once it's ready, and that could take some time, guys. That could take a month or 2 even. But for us, it means we are only after buy opportunities. Why? Mainly because every single time we might go and try shorts below the last lows, we would get a fly. Okay, and that's everywhere almost. So that's why, just to avoid that, and that's all. So that's how we're going to try that out. In terms of statistics, the dates, surprisingly not, would be the same dates. We have 10, 11, 13, 15. The dates to follow, 6 and 9 as well, potential days, which is the beginning of the week. The period is coming. Now, in terms of support here, to hold the move down, we have the 4-hour chart zone here. 1-hour chart zone is right here as well. That's around 147. Daily chart is taking us a bit lower to 145. So interesting period is coming. But those who even consider to trade that have to remember it could take time. New Zealand and Canadian is the next pair we're going to look to trade. I was trading that last week, and I'm still looking to trade it this week. Fallsback on the top, Fallsback on the bottom, making us a range of the weekly chart. For us, the best thing to do is to sell rallies. We got one rally here that was a 4-hour chart cycle, and we got 2 waves correction. I would not be surprised if we will get that. I would actually even want to get that, because from there we'll be looking to go for sell. Now here is the thing. 4-hour chart had 2 waves down move, right? 1, 2. We might get in a fly it up, but we might also hold this range. So another possibility that we could have is something like that, and then we might go and try to sell the breakout. For us, we are only after sells. If we can get the second setup I was talking about, we are going to look to sell that to the bottom of this range. Risk reward is with us clearly here. Okay, so one of two to happen: this range to hold on the 4-hour chart, 2 waves up and breakout sell, or climb to the next important area, approximately around 097, maybe even higher, and look to start to sell. We are only after sells. The top we've had right here on the 23rd is holding. Now we are on the bottom, and that's why I say there is not a bad chance there will be bottom, because on the second of the month, which is here, we got a bottom, so we might make this up move. Anyway, we have 2 scenarios to follow: 1, new high and sells; 2, this range to hold, because we had 1 false break here, 1 false break here, and 1 more false break here. So that's possible scenario as well. Okay, 2 things to follow. And of course, in terms of action zones, we have that as well here. That's the top of the range I have mentioned on the 4-hour chart, or next high, which is here. Keep an eye, very interesting opportunity. Anyway, I could go and cover all the New Zealand pairs and all the Australian pairs. They all basically show the same. Keep an eye on these two: Aussie CAD, New Zealand CAD, Aussie Yen, New Zealand Yen. They all provide the same opportunities mainly, and we can climb it, we can put it into the range with the opportunities. We can put it in the new high as well. The divergences are there, the dates are there, the cycles are there. You just, guys, you choose the pair that gives you the best of the risk reward, and you go with that. That's the bottom line. And now let's talk the other pairs. I normally do the vice versa. I start with the majors. They started with the Pacifics because of that's the most important week for them. Dollar franc, I'll make it short here. The cycle here from the monthly chart is up. Every drop down, we are going to look for buys. Weekly chart is still dancing around the range. We got this move up, correction, and we are building up a bullish hidden divergence here. Daily chart is building bullish setup by the basic type of divergence. Biggest question is where we are going to stop from. We already had the dates for the bottoms. Okay, we had the first and the third. That's where we got a stop, right? And holding that. And if we break below, we're going down to 11-14. That's the next days. Okay, 11 and 14 is the next important days for us. But currently, we're still holding. Now, we have been talking longs here during the week. We got this beautiful long, double up, double down, and move up here. Double cycle move up, and cashed out partially. Now we are break even. The question is what's going to happen from here. As long as the bottom holds, we might be looking for buys, which means we can get drop down, lower lows, false break, higher highs, pull back, and try the longs. If and only if we break below the last low, we are going for one more push. On a 4-hour chart, it was a triple cycle. That could turn to be kind of a special. One, double, and one more. Okay, that's doable. We have a trend line from the bottoms going and holding every single attempt for new lows to bounce. If we go lower, this is going to be also the divergence to develop. Our next levels would be 0.98 and lower. The lower we can pick it up, this pair, the better the buy is, because the weekly cycle still up. Same story with all the rest of the francs. Aussie franc, buy. As we have been talking about, it did the 2 waves up, 2 waves down and climb. 2 waves down, buy again. It's the same story exactly. Cat franc is the only one that make kind of a hard time here, to be honest. We are moving in kind of triangle here on the cat franc. Okay, so by ideal, I would wish to try and get it around here. I want to see one more push and continuation further. The cycle is only for up, and I'm looking only for buys. Okay, if we can get one more push, we're going to look for buys. Every 2 waves down, we're going after buys. Every 2 waves down, we are going after buys. As simple as it sounds. We got it here, buys. Of course, as long as it's followed by bullish divergence. We got it here, some bullish divergence, going to look for buys. Same story. My plan from the long time frame did not change, guys. It remains the same. Euro dollar. False break on the bottom. Here. False break potential in the top. I wanted to climb towards 109, ideally even higher. We are looking for sells. Now here comes the interesting part, because we kind of had here a false break, right? But in reality, it's not a false break because we didn't have last 2 candles broken on that move. And that's where it's tricky. But this high was double broken. One here, one here. If for that, we need this bottom to get activated, and that's why it's irrelevant currently. So what I would wish to get here is one more false break and start build up the sells. By ideal, we climb to above 109 or at least above 108.50 and start building up the sell opportunities. Weekly chart is building a bearish hidden divergence. Daily chart is building the bearish basic divergence. 4-hour chart is providing the setups. Daily chart as well, 1-hour chart as well. This is top of the range. So basically what we could do here is try in the short term and look for possible sells here. So what we will need is false break, lower lows, retrace, and try the sells. If we climb higher, we know the levels. We will have to wait for the right time there, reach the levels, and go for a sell. The most important day is coming for the euro dollar, actually, is now 8 and 9. Okay, the first and third already holding it up. So as long as they do, we can sell the 1-hour chart range. But if we create higher highs, we are after 8 and 9. That's where we're going to look for the sells. Pound dollar did a beautiful move. What did I do here? Hold on. Okay, pound dollar did a beautiful move down after the news on Thursday. Falls back on top, falls back on bottom. We are dancing on potential range. So for me, 2 things to follow. One, potential spike here and climb, maybe even for new highs. Okay. The other way around is the daily potential range. So if we do that, we're going to get the movement here. 2 waves and climb. Every 2 waves down, we are looking for buys. Currently, we are still on wave number 1. So if we do 1, 2, potentially for buys. If we can mark this trend line, we can see the levels would be around 124, maybe even slightly lower. 50% retrace of this triple cycle we've had is basically around the same zone, 123.50, 124. So we could have some nice buys there on the short term. And that's what brings me to the euro pound, which is climbing and correcting itself of the previous move down. Duplication is here. As long as the divergence hold, we might be looking for sells. If we keep and climb higher, the next level to watch would be 0.8760. Longs until there, shorts from there. And there's always a possibility, because we are in the weekly cycle, right, down, that we are now going for a second leg of the daily, which will bring us to here. That's basically pretty much the same level I was talking about before. If we reach their sells, if we climb higher than the duplication around 0.90 and sells. Currently, Every pullback is still a buy until the false break completed. So every move down is a rally until the false break will start to be completed. False break to the downside. Okay, something like that, just for example, or this false break. Okay, so once it completes, time to give up on the buys. As long as it didn't happen, buys stays on. Okay, let me see. Dollar CAD. Well, dollar CAD I don't include this week because it's not really readable to me. I still wanted to around 128. If we do, we will be looking for buys, but that's on the daily forecasts. Okay, I will keep updated, of course, on the daily forecast. Now, gold and silver, where this disappeared. Gold and silver, they are expected to make the correction move. Silver had a cycle for us and is dancing around the 61.8 correction. So this is a zone for possible, looking for possible sell. Same with the gold, the correction of the double cycles. I would expect this area to create some sell opportunities. And in terms of the indices, well. I was looking for the break of this low. As long as it didn't happen, as I said, still on the buy side. But on the same time, remember the monster cycle we have from the monthly. It's about to finish. And it's very likely about to finish after April, May. So until then, we still might fight this craziness before that happens. Okay? And currently, it's the longs remain on. We didn't have any false break completed with lower lows. I mean, we did have false breaks, right? We never got lower lows, so we're still climbing higher. If this would be the high, we would be looking for these lows and then sell retraces. It's very dangerous to stay on the buy side, but currently still correct. Volumeless market. That's what makes it so hard. But still, we're still dancing around the tops. And again, as I've mentioned about the euros and euro kiwi, sometimes it just take time, and time could be a week or two. Time could be a half year or year. Yeah, that's how long it could take when we talk about the weekly and the monthly cycles. And you have to remember that, guys. And for those of you who are only short-term traders, of course, don't follow these cycles. Follow only the daily 4-hour chart cycle. That's the ones that will provide you the intraday opportunities. So that will be all for this week. Thank you very much for watching. And if you enjoyed, please hit the like button. Leave your feedback. If you have any question, any pair, whatever you want me to talk about, leave your question and your comment, and I will reply as soon as I can. Feel free to share that with anyone who you want to have my views, and anyone who you believe could have any benefit by watching that. Thank you for your time once again. I wish you a wonderful trading week. And I'll see you soon. Yours, Vladimir.